Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more interesting stories like these. Now, let's get into today's story video. I, 32 male, got an email from some woman about an affair my wife, 31 female, is having. Throw away because, well, obvious. My wife and I have been married for 2 years and have been together for 7. Everything about our connection is fantastic. We hardly seldom quarrel or argue. I opened my email this morning, like I do every morning, and noticed an email from someone I didn't know. When I opened it, the email simply said that my wife was having an affair. The lady went into great detail, displaying messages and emails between herself and the other guy. I didn't believe it until I went on Facebook and saw a post from the same lady saying hello there. I'm sorry to break the awful news to you. Please double-check your email. As it turned out, the lady who emailed me was the wife of the man with whom my wife is cheating on me. This is incomprehensible to me. This came as a surprise. I have no idea what caused this to happen since our relationship was never in a bad place. I'm at a loss on what to do right now. Story 2. Wife cheated on me 4 days after our 10-year wedding anniversary. My wife and I had been through a lot in our marriage, the most of which was out of our control. I have a lucrative profession, but our money had been stolen twice in the last 5 years, and I have an immunological condition that makes me ill at the drop of a hat. So, of course, when COVID-19 appeared, I almost died from it and spent over a year recuperating from severe symptoms that kept me in bed most of the time. Fortunately, my employer permitted me to work remotely from my bed, although I can't claim I did a good job since COVID brain fog is a thing. Finally, long-haul COVID patients, particularly males, lose 100% of their libido. Finally, the Pfizer vaccination helped me feel better. It actually healed me of 14 months of agony on Earth. Let us fast forward to April 2021. Ailment, cognitive fog, and financial issues all contributed to my realization that I had reached a point of emotional despair. While I was not suicidal, I realized I needed professional treatment badly, so I checked myself into a psychiatric hospital for a few days. While the hospital was only slightly beneficial, one therapist assisted me in realizing that my long-term illnesses had inadvertently rendered me selfish owing to extended despair. When I had this enlightenment, I ugly wept because I understood how much damage I had caused to my wife's mental well-being and to our marriage in general. In some ways, I became a new guy virtually overnight. I was still emotionally vulnerable, and I knew I had a long way to go before I could heal myself and restore my wife's trust. My wife scooped me up as soon as I walked out of the hospital. She quickly saw the 180-degree turn and said, "Wow, I have my hubby back." I informed her that my COVID symptoms were improving and that my libido and desire for emotional and physical intimacy with her were back, and that I was looking forward to completely embracing us, and my wife was overjoyed for me, for her, and for us. Sadly, destiny intervened 4 days later. A younger, fitter, healthier, and more charming athlete approached her as she sat at a cafe outside. In a word, my wife is HOT. I mean, I know I'm since she's my wife, but she looks incredible. She is tall and well-proportioned, with a lovely face. The individual in issue was a foreigner who was rather charming. He was a legitimately sponsored professional in his sport, and he was well known in his own nation. He came to our city for a few weeks of training. When she got home, she couldn't stop talking about the man, but I didn't think anything of it. Crushes happen, and I'm not the sort to be envious. The next day marked the start of the horrible times. She didn't tell me they exchanged phone numbers and met up. Beaming, she returned home after her usual dog walk. I knew she'd met him the moment she saw him. She attempted to deny it, but she knows how good I am at reading people in general. She basically informed me that she was going to have this non-emotional, just physical affair, and that was unlikely. As I was just 5 days out of the mental hospital, I was in no condition to battle her on this, either mentally or physically, as I was still weak after battling COVID for 14 months, despite the vaccination allowing me to progress gradually every day. With my lack of intimacy as a result of being unwell for so long, and since he was only in town for another week before returning to his native country, she was dead set on having this affair. Because I lacked the resources to confront her successfully, she saw my silence for approval, which I did not provide. I basically informed her that for her protection, she would let me follow her on her phone at all times. She let me know if they were having an affair. She made a commitment, but she lied on both counts. She also warned me that I couldn't embrace her, touch or kiss her, or make any other personal gestures to her while he was in town. I told her I was worried she was deceiving me and falling for him. I begged her to guarantee me that I wouldn't lose her. Remember, I was fresh out of a psychiatric institution due to despair, and she claimed she couldn't. He was taken to our favorite restaurant by her, a very romantic place. They made love in a park that night, despite her claims that they simply kissed. When I inquired how far they went the following morning, she became enraged. Adults don't kiss in a closed park at night, and said I was being paranoid. She booked herself into the swankiest hotel in town because she wanted some alone time, and she attempted to persuade me that she wasn't doing so to see him. She was there for 2 nights. He came up in the conclusion of the second night. She had the audacity to email me that he had arrived at the hotel, they had pour, and then he departed. She saw him one more time in a cafe the next morning, as he was leaving the next day. She resolved to go all out and declare her love for him. This is when it turns both hilarious and sad. In every sense of the term, the guy was a player. While in town, he was many ladies and attempting to juggle them all, including my wife. He never returned any words of love or emotional interest to my husband. He was the epitome of an alpha male player. She was badly mistreated. They spent the most of their time together talking about himself, his training, and even that he went to a strip club with members of a professional football, NFL team, which irritated her, but, of course, made him even more appealing to her. So she came home expecting me to light her up, which I did. She claimed to have done it. It's all over. She had no emotions for him, and it was up to me if I wanted to continue with her after that. She stated she did it to reclaim her self-confidence, which is something I attempted for years before I became ill, but to no effect. I'm a fairly clever cookie, and I'm really excellent on the technical front. I knew she'd lie, omit, and play the cheating wife's game from the start, and she did it to the letter, even gaslighting me on many occasions. Assume I had the ability to listen in on their chats in real time and record them. She was well aware of my skill, but she decided to ignore it and continue with the affair. Of course, she offered to let me go and screw someone to make me feel better if that was what I wanted. So illogical. That's a normal reaction. I called her out on every lie she uttered. I supplied the proof. She was distraught when she realized she had been completely apprehended. I had almost everything. Of course, she attempted the I don't recall nonsense. She attempted to minimize their interactions. I was aware of both. I knew she told him she was in love with him because, once again, I was able to listen in real time and capture it. I handed her the transcripts. So where do we stand now? She is not conscious of how much she has harmed me. She's trying all she can to make things right, but there's nothing she can do to recover my faith, and she knows it. She says she's ready to live with my rage and apathy for the rest of our lives if it means I can understand, via her actions, that she's more than remorseful for what she did to me. I believe she is sincerely sorry. She acknowledges that if he had remained in town longer, she would have continued to meet him, knowing well that it would have shattered any chance of reconciliation we had. He's been barred by her. I have access to all of her electronic gadgets. I always know where she goes. She claims she'll let me do it till the end of time. What she doesn't realize is that she has permanently altered my life. I was never an envious person. I'm not an alpha male. I'd never attempted to be, but I'm secure in who I am as a guy, and I never have issues with women. I've had 100 chances to wander owing to women's advances on me, yet I've never contemplated adultery. The first time it happened to her, she was a little heavier before she looked like she does now, and although she was appealing to me, she didn't match global standards of beauty like she does now. She lets herself get, all because he was so well-looking, fit, and confident. He was like a violin to her. Why am I not filing for divorce right away? Because she bent over sideways while I had covered for 14 months previous to her dumb venture into wayward wifehill. She was the one who kept me alive on this earth. To say she went above and beyond to keep me alive would be an understatement. I'm sure she loves me. I understand why she deceived me. She attempted to blame it on stress and a lack of confidence, but the fact was that for the first time in her life, a man like him wanted to screw her, and he said all the right things about her appearance. He persuaded her to speak things she would never say otherwise. She has revealed what she did to everyone from her friends to her parents, and she has said she would spend the rest of her life trying to make it up to me, and she knows I don't trust her and may still leave her. Right now, I'm undecided about calling it quits. I've hired a lawyer. I have documents drafted up and ready to go if she even makes one mistake with me. So, Thoughts? Edit. This tale has now deteriorated significantly. Without her knowledge, the AP filmed their hotel romp and then released it to a number of porn sites. I'm suing the sites for unlawful use of his footage. She's pretty popular on a few of these sites, particularly the Cheating Wives and Cheating Wives PBC categories. Simply put, ugh.